Tonight, a deadly attack in a school in northwestern Pakistan kills at least 7 as the country grapples with a new wave of terrorist attacks. And Canada will provide $71 million in humanitarian aid to Sudan and its surrounding regions as war ravages the country for half a month. We cover stories about the US calling Russian claims of drone attack lies.
That's what they are, just lies.
Canada's 11th round of sanctions on Iran, and calls for the return of the Star of Africa, the world's largest diamond. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. At least 7 have died after gunmen opened fire in a school in northwestern Pakistan. The shooting occurred at a government high school in a remote town in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The town borders neighboring Afghanistan. Students at the school were taking annual exams when the shooting took place. Police said they were investigating the motive behind the incident. The school is in the only Shia majority town in the northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. This town has often been the target of terrorist attacks. School shootings are rare in Pakistan. Over 140 people were killed in a gun and bomb attack at an army school in the northwestern city of Peshawar in December 2016. Most of these were students. Canada has earmarked more than $71 million in humanitarian assistance to Sudan and neighboring countries affected by the current armed conflict. In a news conference yesterday, the Minister of International Development, Harjit Sajjan, said that humanitarian aid will be sent to the UN, Red Cross, and other NGO partners for Sudan, South Sudan, and the Central African Republic. The humanitarian aid will help people meet basic needs, including food assistance, protection, water, sanitation, and health services. The Sudanese capital Khartoum has been engulfed by violence for weeks, with fighting between the army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group, or the RSF. The army and the RSF have not been able to agree on how to integrate the paramilitary group into the armed forces. Sudan has been without a functioning government for nearly 2 years, when the military dismissed the then Prime Minister's transitional government and declared a state of emergency. The transitional period was supposed to end with elections early next year. The Canadian government has reached a tentative agreement with the remaining 35,000 public workers who are on strike. In a press release earlier today, the Public Service Alliance of Canada says they have agreed on a fair contract that exceeds the employer's original offer. More than 155,000 federal employees went on strike on April 19th. These employees work under 2 different contracts. One group, the Treasury Board workers, reached a tentative agreement on May 1st. They were 120,000 workers. The rest, from the Union of Taxation Employees, remained on strike. The PSAC press release says that employees have received a 12% wage increase over 4 years. Another provision includes a one-time lump sum payment of $2,500. The union will now present the details of the tentative agreement to its members. A ratification vote will take place in the coming weeks. The presidents of Iran and Syria have signed agreements on oil and other sectors to boost economic ties between the 2 allies. The news comes after Ibrahim Raisi and his large political and economic ministerial delegation arrived in Syria yesterday for a 2-day visit. The visit is a first by an Iranian leader to the Arab country in more than a decade. The Iranian delegation includes ministers of oil, defense, roads, urban development, and foreign affairs. A large number of private sector businessmen are also accompanying the Iranian leader. As of today noon, at least 15 economic arrangement agreements have been signed between the 2 countries. The US says the world should worry about deepening ties between Iran and Syria. It says these two countries have been involved in destabilizing activities. Tehran has been supporting al-Assad's government since the 12-year-old uprising. In a related note, while he was in Damascus, the Iranian president also met with Palestinian officials. They briefed him on the situation in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Raisi expressed Iran's support for the Palestinian cause. Please stay tuned. We will join you after a short break. The White House's National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has denied claims that the US was behind the drone attack on the Kremlin. He says Moscow is, quote, lying. When asked if Russian President Vladimir Putin was a legitimate and lawful military target, Kirby said the US does not endorse, encourage, and support attacks on individual leaders. The Kremlin said yesterday Ukraine attempted to strike Putin's residence with 2 drones, which were shot down on Tuesday night. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has since denied Kyiv's involvement in the drone attack. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has now also accused the US of being behind the alleged drone attack on the Kremlin residence. Canada is imposing sanctions on Iran for the 11th time under the Special Economic Measures regulations. In a statement released by the government, the new sanctions are in line with recent sanctions announced by the European Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The new sanctions list 1 entity and 9 people who have committed gross and systematic human rights violations in Iran and abroad. The sanctioned individuals are members of the Morality Police Unit and a deputy commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces. Canada is also sanctioning the senior leadership of an Iranian drone company that provides Russia with drones. The statement said the assets of these individuals in Canada are effectively frozen. Top diplomats from China and Afghanistan will be traveling to Pakistan for a 3-way meeting between top officials of each country. The 2-day meeting starts Friday and will take place in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. There will be joint meetings between the 3 countries, as well as one-on-ones between each of the different pairs, China-Pakistan, China-Afghanistan, and Afghanistan-Pakistan. They will be discussing bilateral issues such as trade, as well as international issues related to security. One of the topics the 3 will discuss is expanding the China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan. The diplomats will also talk about Afghanistan's ban on women working, which has triggered widespread condemnation. Pakistan, meanwhile, is also expected to raise security issues with Afghanistan, as terror attacks on its security forces have increased in areas along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. While Islamabad blames the Pakistani Taliban for using Afghan soil to plan and execute attacks, the Afghan Taliban deny the claims. Some South Africans are demanding that the United Kingdom return the diamond that is set in the royal scepter that will be used by King Charles III in the upcoming coronation. The scepter diamond is officially known as Cullinan 1. It was cut from the Cullinan diamond, a 3,100 carat stone. The diamond was discovered in South Africa in 1905 when the British ruled the country. 2 years later, it was presented to the British monarchy by South Africa's colonial government. Also known as the Star of Africa, the scepter diamond is the world's largest. A lawyer and activist in Johannesburg is promoting an online petition for the diamond's return. So far, the petition has gathered 8,000 signatures. He says that people are realizing that decolonization does not only mean giving people freedom, it also means to get back what has been taken away from you. Thank you for watching. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or go to our website, muslimnetworktv, to make a donation. so that we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.